And plant his flag and watch his name, watch that flag kind of raise up the flagpole.
With quarterbacks, I think it's so interesting because we've all just penciled in CJ Stroud and Alabama and Bryce Young from Alabama going 1-2, right? Like it's just penciled in. Like they're the two for quarterbacks taken. It's like we see this every year. That's not how it's going to go. It's not going to be that clean. One of those two are going to drop. We don't know which one of those two, but let me ask you, this is a two-parter. Of the two of them, who's more likely to dip come draft time next year? And of the first-round mock quarterbacks at Draft Network and what you guys have seen, who is most likely to start the year in that first round, but to fall out of favor in that Sam Howell type zone?
Ooh. So first, the first part, when it comes to CJ Stroud and Bryce Young, the one thing that will impact this is going to be measurements, and it's going to be Bryce Young's measurements, right? Bryce Young has the arm talent. Like he's extremely mobile. I don't think people realize just how quick and fast he is as a runner with the football. He's an improviser. He's not someone that you're going to run into the read option and QB power and veer and things like that with. But he's a guy that when things break down, he can make plays with his leg. He can extend windows. He can extend plays and create second reaction opportunities for his receivers and create a scramble drill. CJ Stroud doesn't offer that as much. I feel like he can move. It's almost like he's reluctant to. So people peg him as just a pure pocket passer, right? But because of the fact that he is a bigger, taller, longer arm, quarterback, that you're like, okay, well, he drops back. He doesn't have to get a great amount of depth in the pocket on his drops to see over the offensive line. You won't have those questions with CJ Stroud, right? So that's where, because at the end of the day, we know it doesn't matter how big you are, like they're going to be, I would say, traditionalists. They're like, okay, he doesn't meet the height requirement. Right now, we do see the Kyler Murrays, we've seen the Drew Breeses, we've seen the different shorter spectrum quarterbacks, Russell Wilsons and those guys, but from a historical data standpoint, it's not a strong case. So if anybody out of those two, if any one of them were to drop, I think it would be Bryce. And when you look at the quarterbacks that have been mocked in the first round, we've seen Tanner McKee in the first round. We've seen, of course, Anthony Richardson has made a couple of our mocks in the first round, and different things like that. I think if any of the guys that have been mocked in the first round that could drop, I think for me it would be Tanner McKee. McKee has a really strong arm. He's 6'6", big, tall, high hip, long leg guy, but from a mechanical standpoint, there's some things he's got to clean up, right? And a guy like him, he's not really mobile. He's a pocket quarterback. So typically with those guys, you have to have a strong interior line. I'm talking left guard, center to right guard to keep his lap clean, right? I call it putting the like you're at dinner and you put that napkin over the lap so you don't so you don't waste any food on your good pants. Like that's what you have to do with more pocket style quarterbacks, right? We know Tom Brady. Tom Brady is arguably the greatest of all time at quarterback, right? Tom Brady is not really extreme. He's not mobile, right? He's not a guy that's going to give you the run threat. He'll sneak up on you every once in a while and get a first down, but it's very rare. But the main thing with him is if you pressure him off that, Von Miller isn't Tom Brady's worst nightmare, right? Even though he can bend, he's got the explode. That's not his worst nightmare. It's Aaron Donald. It's the prime J.J. Watts. Those guys that can collapse the pocket in his face and in his lap. With Tanner McKee being 6'6", being so long-legged and high-hipped, he overstrides with his lead foot, which causes the ball to dip, some inaccuracy in ball placement. He's got to learn how to throw with the changeup. I talk about with quarterbacks being a pitcher. Don't just be the fastball guy, because eventually, just like with batters, the defense is going to figure out the fastball. They're going to time it just right, and they're going to make that interception. They're going to make that pass breakup. It's going to be a tip drill. Your receiver's not going to be able to catch. Know how to change it up. Give me a changeup. Give me a slider, right? Give me something else. Like alter the speeds of your throws, and that will help him because he wasn't the best deep ball passer in college football last year. As a result of that, he didn't know when to pull the string and just put touch rather than put so much steam on it. So those are the things that, to me, and he hasn't played a lot either, right? He played, last year, but and the results were kind of up and down. Like I said, when things break down, he's not someone that he can shuffle and slide. But again, you have to make sure you protect the interior offensive line for him. And I just feel like his game isn't easily as translatable as others, right?
Mm,
Anthony Richardson, which we just did, if anybody wants to kind of watch us break down tape, me and my guy Ray Garvin, Ray G, on the Draft Network's YouTube page just did a film session called Four Downs, which we started 2 weeks ago. We did Anthony Richardson this past Friday, and we showed there's a play on there against, I believe it's FIU, where they have a free runner, defensive tackles bearing down on him, and he jukes him and gets by him, right? And not only that, then he runs, jukes two more guys, stiff arms a guy, and then hurdles a guy. And it was just like, it's those type of plays where it's like, yeah, Tanner McKee's not doing it. And it's like, when there's a free runner, he's nearly dead to rights. And it's like, those are the plays where defenses like guys like that in today's NFL. The defensive fronts, the front sevens are much smaller. You have more hybrid linebacker safeties. And when you start seeing these complex blitz packages where they're showing blitz from one side and they're dropping off, and here's the fire zone coming from the opposite side of the formation, and you got a free nickel, Tanner McKee's not the guy that's going to be able to evade or elude that. So it's like that's what defenses want. They want guys that can't get away from that guy. Like, and when you have a mobile quarterback, it makes things, we use the phrase make things wrong right. And you know what I mean? So it's like the pass protection is wrong, the defense has everything right, but it's wrong for the offense. And then you have Josh Allen who can pirouette in the pocket, stiff arm a guy, reset his feet, and throw a 60-yard strike to Gabe Davis. And it was like, he just made everything that was wrong about that play right, because we just scored. And that's what teams really are looking for nowadays. We see with Malik Willis and the splash plays he's made in this preseason. So if anybody was to fall out of the first round mocks to like the second, third, or possibly fourth round, I think it would be Tanner McKee.
Interesting. I like it. I've also, when Joel Klatt said on a podcast a few weeks ago where he was like, I think he compared Bryce Young to mini Aaron Rodgers. It was something I couldn't unsee, where like what you just described of just the freelancing and doing stuff on the run. And if he had Aaron Rodgers' size, like I think that'd be a pretty common comp, right?
Yeah, I would like that. He reminds me, Bryce, I mean, and some people say it's low-hanging fruit, but he reminds me of a twitchier, quicker Russell Wilson. Where there's like I talked about just when we were discussing McKee just now, there are plays where Bryce, I think it was in the Auburn, like the toughness that this kid bestows, man. The Auburn pressured him 20 times. I think he was hit double-digit times and sacked 7 times. He took a beating in that Iron Bowl game. But it's like, okay, I compare it to boxing. You're going to take your hits. But can you counter? Can you keep getting up, right? Like I think back to the old Rocky films, he's going against was it Dragoff or whatever, like the Russian. He's getting his block knocked out. He's getting his butt whooped. And it's like, I'm still getting up. And like the Russians are like, this can't be possible. And he's in Russia. And the crowd kind of turns to Rocky's side because, all right, this guy's got some stuff about him. Like, and that's Bryce Young. Like he's got that, like he took that beating and he never wavered, like he kept throwing, he kept punching to the point where they're in the risk of losing this game. And he throws a beautiful pass to Ja'Cory Brooks down the right sideline, over the right shoulder, in the front corner of the end zone at the pylon to take it into overtime. Then, of course, the famous whip route that John Mechie runs against Roger McCreary to end the game and to win that game for him. But we've seen quarterbacks. I mean, no shot to Sam Darnold. I hope he gets well because he's got the foot injury from this weekend's preseason game. But remember, he took a beating early in his Jets days, right? And when he starts seeing ghosts, and that's what happens with some quarterbacks. They're just not physically or mentally tough enough to take that pounding and keep punching. And Bryce Young can do that. So I like that. I feel like he's a quicker Russell Wilson. Like he can free runners, he can make guys miss, and he can extend the pocket. He's got even some of the improv, like you see Brett Favre, he's right-handed, but he's running to his right side.